All right, in today's explainer, we're diving straight into the dark and honestly absolutely terrifying lore of Black Hollow. We're looking at an entire village that is quite literally trapped by an ancient predatory force. If you're a fan of mythology, folklore, and just, edge of your seat suspense, well, this story is an absolute masterclass in tension. We're gonna start right at the heart of the nightmare with the golden rule of Black Hollow. If you hear your name from the old well after midnight, never answer. This one single warning sets the ultimate life or death stakes for everybody living there. And most people laughed at it, right up until the mysterious disappearances actually started happening. Section 1. The Rule of the Well. So the victims face this grim, basically inescapable 3-day cycle. First, you hear your name whispered. Second, you just disappear into the dense fog. And finally, exactly 3 days later, you're found standing completely upright, dead, with mud spilling out of your mouth. Take the local fisherman, Jacob Miller, for example. He wasn't just found like this. His fingernails were completely torn off. That suggests a horrific struggle, right? Like he was frantically trying to climb upward from somewhere deep underground. So what exactly happens to a town living under that kind of constant everyday threat? Well, only 413 people remain in Black Hollow today. It's a place that is literally frozen in time. It's suffocated by fear. We're talking dead trees bending like broken fingers, and locals staring at any outsiders like they've just seen a ghost. Section 2. Ethan Cole's Return. Now, our protagonist, Ethan, arrives back in town because he gets this completely impossible letter. It just says, "Come back before the well wakes again." And what makes this so incredibly compelling is that there's no sender, but the handwriting, it perfectly matches his younger sister, Lily. The catch here is that Lily vanished 12 years ago when she was just 12 years old. So this single piece of paper draws him right back into the fog-covered dead roads of his childhood. The psychological horror really ramps up immediately when Ethan enters Lily's abandoned bedroom. This dusty old music box just starts playing entirely by itself, and when it suddenly clicks off, a child's voice whispers right behind him, "You came too late." He spins around, and there is absolutely nobody there. But a terrifying warning slowly appears in the dust of his childhood mirror. Don't let it know you're here. To really understand the present danger, we've got to ask a critical question. Why did Ethan's father go down that well years ago? Well, Ethan finds a hidden notebook down in his father's basement, and it reveals that his dad discovered these ancient tunnels beneath the well, tunnels that are actually older than the village itself. He went down there searching for Lily, but when he came back up, he was forever changed. He came back completely silent, terrified, and just fundamentally broken. Ethan's father left behind this one haunting final realization in his journal. He just muttered this single phrase over and over right before he tragically took his own life, which, by the way, was exactly 3 days after he returned. He wrote, "It wears their faces." This gives us our very first real hint at the true deceptive nature of the monster waiting below. Section 3. The Hollow Man. Through the local priest, Father Benjamin, we finally learn exactly what they're dealing with here. The Hollow Man is this ancient, faceless, underground entity that actually feeds on grief, guilt, and loneliness by perfectly mimicking the voices of deceased loved ones. Father Benjamin's lore clinically breaks down how this predator literally weaponizes love. It totally explains why, as these whispers start invading their actual homes, the terrified villagers are desperately locking their doors and nailing every single window completely shut. This whole trap relies on a horrific contrast. The lure? It's the desperate crying voice of a lost sister begging for help. But the reality? When Ethan finally makes the massive mistake of answering Lily's voice in his bedroom, out crawls this pale, inhuman creature. It has fingers that bend entirely backward, cracking as they move, and an impossibly wide mouth stretching into a smile right under the bed. But the absolute most horrifying part of all this, it has Lily's eyes. Somehow, Ethan manages to smash a lamp and actually banishes this wet, heavy-breathing creature from his room. But it doesn't leave empty-handed. When it vanishes, it leaves behind muddy water on the floorboards and this deeply chilling invitation scratched directly into the wood. Midnight at the well. The ultimate showdown is officially set. Section 4. Beneath Black Hollow. I want you to just imagine the heavy, suffocating dread of this descent. Armed with nothing but a revolver and some flickering flashlights, Ethan, Sheriff Dawson, and Father Benjamin push through the intense smell of ancient rot. They're walking past these non-human symbols carved right into the stone. And it turns completely gut-wrenching when they discover dozens of children's shoes just abandoned in the dark. Finally, they enter a massive underground chamber that is literally layered with thousands of bones. It reveals the sheer historical scale of the Hollow Man's feeding grounds over centuries. When the creature finally emerges from the dark, we get the horrifying visual confirmation of his father's warning. It's a massive, unnaturally crawling body. But worst of all, it is literally wearing the living, crying faces of its victims, trapped right beneath its stretched skin. Dark liquid is dripping from its expanding jaw, and it actively weaponizes those faces, including Lily's, to beg for help and paralyze its prey with sadness and shock. It is truly pure nightmare fuel. Right as all hope seems lost in these collapsing tunnels, we get a massive, shocking twist. Ethan finds the real Lily alive in a small hidden chamber behind some broken stones. She's older now, obviously, but she's alive, and she reveals this horrifying truth. It needs a voice to call others. The entity feeds through fear, and it kept her alive all these years for one sole reason: to use her real, human voice as bait to draw more victims toward the well.
Section 5. The Final Whisper.
The whole nightmare reaches its explosive peak right at sunrise. The villagers gather together, executing a desperate final plan. Ethan pours gasoline all around the ancient stones, as the Hollow Man forces its massive body up the well, literally tearing its own skin and cracking its bones just to get to them. The sheriff throws the torch. A massive fiery explosion ensues, tearing deep underground and collapsing the entire well structure. And finally, after centuries, it brings a deafening, complete silence to Black Hollow.
But I want to leave you with this chilling final thought, and it's a question I really want you to ponder. Weeks later, as Ethan and a now-freed Lily prepare to leave the village on a bus, Lily suddenly freezes. From somewhere deep underground, right beneath the bus stop, a cold wind blows and a voice whispers her name. So we really have to ask, did they actually kill the Hollow Man in that explosion? Or did they just destroy its front door, forcing it to burrow through the earth to find a brand new way out? Let that sink in.